This episode is brought to you by Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard of Anchor, you should definitely check them out. It's a super easy tool that anyone can use to create and distribute their podcast. It has everything you need, and you can do it all from your computer or even your phone. Need your podcast cover art? There's a tool. Music and sound effects? They have you covered. Want to record on the fly? It's easy with the app. Now you may be saying to yourself, I already have a podcast. No worries, just create your account, upload, and publish to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Looking for some walking around money? Anchor connects you with advertisers who match your brand. It's a one-stop shop for all of your podcasting needs. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Hi, welcome to BizQuik. I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And on today's episode, we have Shay and Kari Butler. They are the owners of Shay Butler Knives and Single Acre Hat Company. And we are so excited to talk to them about everything that's happening with their business. Welcome, guys.
That's right. You're listening to BizQuik. This is where Julie and Corey provide quick and useful information to small business owners. BizQuik is the podcast where small business owners get to showcase their businesses and receive expert advice and guidance in areas many entrepreneurs struggle with. And you, the listener, get solutions, tips, and tricks on real-world topics that many small business owners face. Julie and Corey are the experts small businesses hire when they need solutions. And the BizQuik podcast is just one way they deliver those solutions. Let's start the show.
Hey. What's up, Julie? What's up, Corey?
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Not much. Last day of the year, 2020.
It is. And what are y'all doing to celebrate?
We are working on knives and hats.
No rest, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic. So I know probably a good portion of our listeners are familiar with at least one of your businesses, but I am so in love with the origin story of Shay Butler Knives. I'm just wondering, Shay, if you'll take a couple of minutes to tell our listeners how you started this company.
Sure, Julie. I really don't know how this started. I have a really dear friend in Montana. We went out on a hunt, and I'm usually tagging around with my uncle, who's about 100 yards away from us now. He lives right down the road, but he's notoriously known for shooting deer and not always, let's say, getting them the first time, so to speak. And so we went chasing after a deer, and I jumped out of the truck, didn't have my pack. All I had was a rangefinder because I was going to try to help him get this deer put down. And so very, very long story short, we get down to the bottom of this mountain, and snow was up to our waist. We went 1.4 miles down a mountain. And I turned to him because I was only in a sweatshirt and said, I need your knife. We got to quarter this deer out. We got to get out of here because I'm freezing. And he looked at me and said, I don't have a knife. And so that was the first problem. The second problem is my good buddy who was up in the truck, he had just fallen off a roof. He was in a cast. So I had to radio up to him to come bring a knife down. Well, turns out he wasn't real happy about that and said some few choice words, but he did get the knife down to us. And when I got back to the truck, it was a scary moment simply because my sweatshirt had frozen and I had caught a little bit of hypothermia. And so literally I spent and then the truck wouldn't start. So we had a truck that wouldn't start to get the heat on, and they're literally undressing me because I couldn't feel anything. And that's kind of how it all started. So I decided that on the way home, I was never not going to have a knife. So I stopped at Cabela's and Shields, and I just couldn't bring myself to buy a $200 knife. So when I got home, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to learn how to make one of these things. And so that's kind of where it started. The first knife, I used a bastard hand file, and I hand filed it for about 22 hours. And that was interesting. And after I did the first one, I decided that probably wasn't that efficient. So I just decided instead of buying the $200 knife, I would buy a $4,000 grinder. And made my first knife out of a coffee can forge that I had built. And I posted a picture of it, and I was like, hey, check this out. I think that was on Facebook back then.
Yep, I think so.
And someone said, hey, can I buy that? And I was like, I guess. And they're like, well, how much do you want for it? And I was like, I don't know, $40. And so that's where it all started. And so I decided, well, I sold that one. I guess I got to make myself another one. Well, I took a picture of it, and lo and behold, someone else asked me. And fast forward the tape 4 years, I went 4 years of doing this, making myself a knife, and each time it sold. So I was knifeless until July of 2020. So that's kind of how it all started.
July of 2020?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So we made somewhere, I think, around 600 knives before I actually kept one. So, yeah.
And now you did keep like you held some back, right? Like I know because I have a Ranger, right? Yes, it's a Ranger. And it is like you number all of your knives, and mine is 005.
Yeah. And so that's something I started doing later, or I think this year. I thought it would be good to kind of, and I wish I would have started doing this, but I did that also just from a warranty perspective. You get a certificate with your name on it, with the number, and it's just, we started that honestly with the Rhinos. And then we started doing it with Rangers. And so moving forward, we just number them all. So I have a record of who's got what, and it's just kind of good to know. But yeah, we were trying to think back just to this year about how many knives we did. And we're well over, I think, 200 this year that we put together and sold. But never in my wildest dreams would I've ever have thought this would turn into a business. And never in my wildest dreams would I know that, or have a knife that would sell for $850 when I started maybe getting $40 for the first one.
Yeah, that's an insane markup from your original asking price for sure. But how did you get into the hat company, Single Acre Hat Company?
I really don't know, Kari.
Well, I'll tell the short version of that story. When the knife business was starting to grow and we realized, wow, we've kind of got something here. And Shay was looking for ways to kind of up his game with the knives, whether it was different handle materials or a different style, or he always had a dream of making folders. We needed to have some sort of sheath to go with the knife. The next logical step was for us to make leather sheaths. We outsourced maybe like the first two to a local company, and they
both came back
so poorly made. They were like, this does not
represent our brand.
The knife is so much better than the sheath it's going in. So Shay was like, you know what? I'm going to learn to make them. And
so
let me tell you, that's very Shay Butler. Yep. Watch some YouTube videos, call some people, get some experts' advice, and just figure it out. And that's basically how, at the time, we had started a leather business as well called Butler Leather Goods. So once we had made the leather sheaths and had that down, we had all this equipment, and we'd invested in hides and sewing machines and leather tools. And I was like, you know what? Like maybe we could make more than just sheaths with this leather. How about like a nice purse for me? And so then it kind of turned in. And for a while, about 2 years, we had the two businesses, Shay Butler Knives and Butler Leather Goods. We one day thought of putting a leather patch on a hat, and we're like, wait, this is something that we could do with our own brand and whatever. And that again was not an intentional business. It just kind of started. People saw that we were doing these hats, and we just ran with it. We just, had to at some point realize there's only two of us. We had to follow what made the most sense business-wise. What were we gonna stick to? We can, you can do 1,000 different things, but if you want to actually be profitable, where are we going to focus our business? So we decided to keep Shay Butler Knives. This year, we renamed our leather goods business into Single Acre Hat Company. We solely do hats. We basically dropped the rest of the leather goods. It's a much more profitable business, and one that has really taken off, especially in weird times like this year.
You do a lot of give backs, right? So you're working with local bars and restaurants and local businesses, and you're donating back to those businesses, but you're also delivering at the same time high quality products.
Yeah, and we try to do, unique it's only, you can only get so unique sewing a leather patch on a hat, but we've expanded into doing beanies, and we have, different colors of leather. We try to make everyone's specific to their brand. And, we think companies are trusting us to brand their product, something they're going to resell. I mean, that's a big job. And so hopefully we always are rising to the occasion. But we did, during when COVID hit, we started an initiative called Project Drink Local. And with that, any patron anywhere across the country could buy a hat from us that said Drink Local, and it had a customizable patch. So you pick your hometown or the town of your favorite brewery or bar. We put it on the hat, and then with their purchase, we turn around and donated $8, basically our profit, to the bar or brewery of their choice. So it was like a virtual tip for the beer tenders, the bartenders that were losing out on having, actual customers in their establishments, giving them tips. So it was just kind of our small way of trying to give back, do something good. And breweries and bars have been one of our biggest supporters, and they typically, buy hats from us wholesale. So it was just a little pay it forward thing, and it's taken off. We've probably set hats to, I don't know, probably 30 of 50 states. I mean, a lot are local because people know us and know it locally, but it's been a fun initiative and project to be part of.
So you answered my question, because I was going to say, could we do like Strange Ways Brewery is a big brewery here, and so you can do it local to Richmond. That's amazing. You guys just recently signed a huge, I don't know. I don't want to say if you signed a huge contract, but you are doing work for a really big company, right? You are making hats for 9 Line.
We did have, we started that, what is that, earlier this year?
Yeah, June or
July, just a small kind of test run. And we've had a couple things in the works, and, fingers crossed it takes off. Like anything, it's different working with a really big organization, national brand, than it is with your mom and pop brewery. But we'll kind of see where that leads. I don't know where it's going to go, but we have high hopes that it's going to take off. Cool. It's cool seeing our stuff on their website, though. Yeah. Kind of surreal.
Yeah. And, I think what's important about our business is, how do I say this? We don't want to get too big for our britches. We want to be able to support, the Instagram page that has 100 followers that wants 6 hats. And we want to be able to, because that's really where we started. Guys were, calling us and saying, hey, can I get 12 hats? And even though we've had exponential growth, we don't want to get rid of that. We still like doing that. And,
absolutely.
We want to
get a lot of creative freedom with that, because a lot of them don't have an idea of exactly what they want. They just know they want something with their brand on it. So that's cool. Whereas with some of these bigger brands, you end up being more of an order taker, and that kind of sucks some of the fun out of it,
Yeah.
I want to talk about that a little bit more, just because I know that this is a part-time job essentially for you. How do you see that as scalable? Like being able to produce 6 hats, a dozen hats, like still work with the small guys and still make this, profitable. And I mean, it's great that I love that you were given, all of your profit from the hats to the bars and all of that. And it's great to do. But, as a business, for somebody who's might be in your position where they're trying to take, what's their passion and turn it into, something that's actually making money for them. I mean, how do you envision yourself growing that way?
I would say, well, kind of two things to touch on there. First, with the Drink Local initiative, we're obviously covering our own costs. We're not losing on those, but we do take what would be profit and give it back. What's the neat thing that's happened with that is we've grown in followers. We've grown, we actually have the website, Project Drink Local, the Instagram account, Project Drink Local. We're not actively promoting those because there's only 2 of us to run them right now, but it's something that we just proactively bought in the beginning. Is we're just going to grab this website. We're going to grab this Instagram just in case this does turn into something. Because it's kind of one of those things when people hear about it, oh, it's a really cool idea. I know someone who owns a bar, and then let me do this, or I want to buy one for Christmas. And that has just been a very slow growth, but we're definitely seeing growth from that. And sometimes those organizations that are recipients of those tips turn around and purchase hats from us. So it's kind of a win-win in that situation, a different way of marketing, getting our name out there. And then with being able to just do small orders, it takes us no more time to do a small order than it does a big order. It takes the same amount of time to sew a hat and buy a hat as it does for, if we're doing 6 or whatever. The only difference comes into the design portion. And typically, you'd be surprised that, everyone gets their logo from a graphic designer and you get it and it's garbage. But there's work no matter what you're doing. But Shay actually handles all that, the graphic design portion, and he's gotten quick and good at it. So we've kind of got it down to a science. So for us, it's no more, maybe we lose out a little bit on profitability for these small businesses, but they are the ones who then tell their friend who owns a small business, who tells their friend who owns a small business. And it is this word of mouth. We did not market that we did this for the first probably year and a half we did it. We didn't start marketing it until, when did we launch that?
October.
This fall, October, I think. October is when we first named our business, started an Instagram, started actually marketing and promoting it. But we never even, it was just all word of mouth or repeat business. We didn't even market ourselves. We didn't even have a name, we just kind of did it. The knife guy did hats. So somehow it's worked itself out.
Yeah. And that's,
I have all the answers. I don't know.
That's great point that you made. Like, I've worked with a ton of small businesses in my life, and people always look at oh, I need to make $1. I need to make my profit. I like they don't look at the big picture. And I love how you're looking at as this is a big picture. Like you're marketing, you're building a brand. You're not just trying to make a couple bucks here and there. Like it's a long-term picture. That's a great way to build a brand.
I think the other piece of that too is, as you mentioned, Shay does have a corporate job. And so this is something, now things might, change if we ever try to do this all full time, but we have taken this as, let's build a business with a really solid foundation and make sure we're doing things we're proud of doing, and not just in it for a quick buck, because we want this to be lasting, and something that, there's a lot of sacrifices with a small business. So we hope we're sacrificing our time to lay a strong foundation for this business. And I don't know, I hope it all has to just come together at some point.
I absolutely love the concept of how you're approaching working with people, right? It's that, let me make sure that we're adding value or that we're delivering on what we're promising, and then we'll worry about all of these other things, right? So you've got that foundation first, which I want to talk about core values for business when we come back, but we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Hey, this is Shay Butler with Shay Butler Knives. Head over to shaybutlerknives.com and check out our new Rhino and Pursuit folders. And if you use the code SBPACE10, you can get 10% off your choice of Rhino, Ranger, Wilderness, or new Pursuit. Go get them, shaybutlerknives.com.
We left off talking about, the way that you view making sure that you're adding value to your customers. And honestly, I think one of the things that is so unique about what you guys do is that, there's a little bit of this that tears at my heart when I say this, because I know it to be true, just simply from stories from Shay, is that it feels so personal and like such a friendship, and like there's this relationship there, right? And I realize that like everybody who works with Shay and Kari Butler gets that same experience, right? Everybody does. So everybody feels like they're in your circle of trust, and they're in your circle, and that they are your friends, and that you're working with them. And that is such a unique and amazing way to position your business. It's amazing. But I want to ask, I want to ask you about the core values of Shay Butler Knives and Single Acre Hat Company. Do you have established core values for the business?
I'll say not written down. But there are things that we try to use in our branding and marketing that we feel defines our business, whether it's authentic, genuine, handmade, USA. I mean, there's things that, everything made in the United States, there's things we stand behind and things that are very important to our business. But whether we have them defined in a document, that'd be a no. But there's other things we stand behind and things that we hope. Shay is, you might know, and he can speak more to this, but he is a perfectionist. So if you receive one of his knives, trust me, he has asked me and he's asked a few of our friends 18 different times, all right, do you see anything wrong with this? Can you open it? Can you do this? How does this look? I mean, before any single knife goes out. So I know the quality and the standards are never going to be compromised. That's just not something, that's not the way we're going to run our business. Again, nothing for a quick buck. This isn't a $20 knife you buy at Walmart. This is a special heirloom piece. And that's what we want it to feel like when people receive them.
Yeah, it's absolutely an heirloom piece. And there is you can't mistake the quality that goes into it. You can't. Like, I was unprepared for the knife so I got one for my birthday and I was unprepared for the quality, unprepared. And you can't describe it to people. You're like, you need to see this knife, right? And I tell everybody, go buy a knife. But it's you can't miss it. You really, really can't. I also will say that you may not have the core values written down, but they're absolutely there in what you do. It's how you live and breathe every day in terms of what you're delivering for the business, right? And you can recite them because you did, Kari. You listed them off. And honestly, my favorite one was the American one. They love America, USA. Like, that's 4th of July, my favorite holiday. Love it. So I'm all in on that. You had me at that, but being able to speak to core values as a small business owner, a lot of people think that they're not as important when you are just one or two or three people, right? That you don't really need them. It's for these bigger companies. And the reality is, it's kind of the foundation of everything that you do. So, I was just telling somebody earlier today. So we have, for SB Pace, we have 3 core values, 3. And I know our podcast is BizQuik, but our company, our business is SB Pace. And we have 3 core values. And the one that speaks the loudest to me, that is the most meaningful, and that is the easiest for me to recall, is the one that says, we don't sell services that clients don't need, right? So we both have spent a ton of time in corporate America and watching, and as consultants, and watching these, big 4 consulting firms selling to people things that they really don't need just for the sake of selling. And when you're the person delivering on those things, you feel like you're adding 0 value. And it's really, really frustrating. And that was ultimately, I think that was probably the impetus for both of us to leave corporate America, was we were tired of working on things that didn't deliver value. And so now we have zero desire to not add value to people. And like, if it's not going to help you, we're not interested in selling it to you. And you guys are very similar in that you're like, if it's not high quality, we're not selling it to you. We're not interested in that.
And I'm going to piggyback on that just because I now have 2 of your knives, which are both excellent. And talking about value, I mean, they are worth every dollar. And I mean, and along with the physical knife, just the whole experience, and like, for instance, on your website, there's the do not contact me about, your order thing, which is an interesting experience, but it's great. And like, I know that was probably put there because of how quickly you grew and that you've got so many things on your plate. Can you talk about just how quickly you've grown and how you've dealt with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting because in my professional job, I was doing a lot of traveling. So with COVID, coming into play, it's kind of kept me home, which is giving me additional shop time at night. And that's where this whole thing is really got interesting because, you know, being on the road, there's really not many, I can't really make too many knives from a hotel. And so that's where I think this has really taken off with COVID. Most people in small businesses have really suffered, but for us, I've been able to spend and dedicate a little bit more time to making knives and to working on hats. So, you know, it's just, I never really thought, you know, that when we, let's say, released we did the folder, and we were in Colorado, and for whatever reason, I couldn't sleep, and I was up at 4 or 5 in the morning. I was going to go for a run. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put my first 25 out there, and I'm going to release it. What was it? It wasn't Father's. When was that?
No, it was June. Yeah, it was right before Father's Day.
Yeah.
So
So
came home on Father's Day. Yeah.
long story short, you know, I put them out there and I sold out in like an hour, and I had no idea. I thought maybe I would sell 1 or 2, and it's just kind of been like that. And you know, going back to the quality piece, like, look, I'm just a guy that grinds on metal and, you know, whatever. But what's interesting is that I think I have probably a 99% reorder rate. And so if that's where I get it, it's not about me trying to pump out as many knives as possible. I want to kind of go through them and make sure that they're right, make sure that I like them. I usually have 2 or 3 buddies overlook them. Kari, you know, opens them. And because I know that if they turn out and the customer loves them, they're going to tell 3 of their friends, and they're probably going to reorder another knife. And so that, you know, you said something, Julie, before we started this about our Instagram. I mean, really, we've got a very, I would say, small following that really has not grown just due to the nature of what we're doing. And so not to poke at the big Facebook but they really they don't really serve up our content.
Oh.
And so really
we're seen as like a weapons manufacturer, just as full circle. So we can't we get kind of like blacklisted from there's a lot of things that are seen negatively from a social media perspective for a lot of our content.
So the only way for us to grow is to try to make really cool stuff and make it an experience. For me, it's all about authenticity and being genuine with people. And we've found that you know, people can act certain ways on social media, but what you see is what you get with me. So
it's interesting. Yeah, it's been an interesting ride in more than one ways. I mean, there's been a lot of unauthentic people that we've come across. We've met some really awesome people, but social media is the game changer in there. And I think the thing that Shay should have mentioned is last year, we took our sales from last year to this year. Yes, he released some new knives, but we don't feel like we changed our business plan yes, we sacrificed a lot of time. That's our biggest sacrifice. But we tripled our sales from last year. So that was a really positive. And like I said, in a pandemic, when these are not things people like have to have, they're nice to haves, not need to haves. So it made that was kind of what we needed to know to make us feel like we're doing something right. I can't put my finger on what exactly it is, but we're doing something right if our sales were still continuing to grow and a lot of people had to really tighten down their budgets and other small businesses around us were failing. I mean, it's a really odd feeling, but it's also one we're really thankful for that somehow this worked out.
Yeah. So I want to acknowledge the comment of, you know, you guys are growing and you've tripled your business while there's a lot of small businesses that are failing. We've talked to a number of small business owners this year who have had their best years ever. And they have this guilt for that because they recognize how many people are not doing that. And I think for us, we look at it as any small business that is thriving, like we love to hear that. And it's amazing. But we get the guilt that goes with it because it's hard to know that there are people that are really failing out there. I want to talk a little bit about I'm just going to call it what it is, which is essentially being shadow banned on Instagram, right? And the impact that had on your business.
That was you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll just say this is we just, we haven't had a lot of social media traction, which is fine. We haven't gotten to a spot where we've got an inventory of knives. So we continue to sell. And once again, I think it goes back to the quality and making sure that when something goes out the door, that it's right. And
some really loyal followers,
yeah,
what I would say. We have a very, very loyal following. Like we're not a company who's going to go out and make ourselves look bigger than we are by buying a bunch of followers or all these skeezy things people can do. Follow us because you want to see what we're doing, or like, don't follow us,
Yeah.
It's just, we are who we are. We post our business. We rarely post like personal stuff on there, but it's just interesting. Shay started to notice, when was it? This summer?
It was probably this summer, yeah, because we were anywhere.
Like, I am not getting any engagement. Things I used to have thousands of views on, I'm having like 200 views. So it took us a while to rebuild. I don't know the secrets to getting back in Instagram's good graces, but there are definitely things, and now that, Facebook and Instagram are really one and the same, it's kind of a messy division there of who allows what, but they just categorize us as weapons manufacturer. Any hat we have that references alcohol, we can't post, we can't, add
drink local. We can't
even post a drink local hat
Yeah.
to like purchase from our Facebook page or our Instagram page. So it's really tricky. So
not even going to get into politics because you can't have anything Republican, Democratic. Like you cannot, like I am who I am, but we don't even go there just simply because we have such an issue with the weapons manufacturing, which it's a knife. I consider it a tool, so they just don't.
And I would 100% agree with you on that it's a tool, you're not dealing in arms over there and Shay Butler. So you brought up a point there, Kari. You were talking about how you don't post a lot of personal stuff on your Instagram and all that, which is kind of interesting, considering that you're a husband and wife team, and Shay's name is the company's name, so it's kind of personal in that respect. Can you talk about what it's like, working as a husband and wife team?
We post our true business life. We don't post our kids typically or things like that. I keep that to my personal page, and I got to actually know you to let you follow that. There's just a lot of weirdos out there. We've come across a few of our, and I'm just, I get nervous about that kind of thing. So we try to keep, there's business stuff. Our business is in our home. There might be a picture here or there or whatever. We do have our photo shoots in our yard. I mean, it's not that like secretive. However, I'm not going to blow up my kids on our business account and stuff. I think people know we have a family. I think they figured out we're married and that this is our life and basically how we spend most of our time. The time that he's not working his corporate job, this is what we're doing, unless we're at a t-ball game or a softball game, and even that we're probably still working while we're there. So we try to keep, we want people to know who we are too, and I think actually Julie was one of the first people who said, well, you guys are the brand, and no one had that had never occurred to us. I mean, quite honestly, it never had. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I guess we are. So, people like to see a little bit of a glimpse into like daily life, not just like knife. Here's our shop we're building. Here's some of our equipment. Here's things we do. Here's us making things. But yeah, we try to keep the very personal stuff to a minimum.
I think the personal stuff and not like the very personal stuff, because I am 100% on board with like not putting the kids' pictures out there, and you have that on your personal page, but the like getting to know you guys, like Shay frequently has where he's shooting the arrows into the fake deer. I don't know how else to explain it, right? Right. And yeah. but you do these like really cool, like you kind of almost show like behind the scenes on photo shoots on some of the stuff that you do. And those are the things that make people feel like they know you and they want to do business with you. Right. So honestly, there are so many things that you guys are doing right that are driving business to you. And you're both like, you're just so damn likable that people just want to do business with you. They like the experience that you give on Instagram. And I'll be honest, like I don't even know what you have on Facebook, but on Instagram, like it's probably one of my two favorite pages to follow are your two businesses, because there's always new content. It's super engaging and it's real. Like there's nothing posed about it. And I think I know that because, I have conversations with the both of you. So I know like what you're posting is your real life. And it's not this fake crap that you see from so many people.
We don't worry about the angles of the photo and this and that when we're like, oh, we actually found a picture of me and you together. We should maybe put that. But I think it's something you have to be intentional about. Shay is really, really good at it. He takes so many process pictures and videos, and he's a really, really good photographer. Me, I'm one of those who I take 100 pictures hoping one turns out that I can use. And I have to be way more thoughtful about posting on social media. I get to the point where I'm like kind of over it, and I need a break, and to come up with new stuff every day is challenging for me. Where Shay is he's naturally just super good about taking content through the day and process photos and things that keep people engaged and show their knives along the way. And that's what we say with check Instagram for how your knife is coming.
Yeah, well, and hopefully that comes through. So the biggest thing for us is just, once again, it comes back to being genuine. Majority of the knives that I make are like, my passion is hunting, period. Like that's what, if I could do that every day, and it's bow hunting. And so, hopefully you can tell that I'm a bow hunter. I'm usually, shooting a bow every day, almost every day. But I sell a lot of knives to hunters, and I want to, and I want to let them know that I didn't just like make this out of my head. Like I actually test the stuff. And so usually it's not my own knife. I usually have to get a buddy over that has bought one and have to use it that way. But we actually test these things out in the field, and that's part of, where Kari, sometimes she gets a little like, hey, are you done hunting yet type thing? But it's really product development and what I like, what I don't like. We just started an ambassador program, which is essentially getting complimentary knives out to some hunters to what?
I want to be an ambassador.
Oh.
When's the last time you've been hunting?
But it's really like, I'll be honest with you. I don't have it figured out. And when it comes to making knives, I really don't. I learn every day, but it's just trial and error. And so it's really just going out there, testing them. What do you like? What do you don't like? And everybody's different. So just trying to come up and find something that's cool.
Yeah.
That's the biggest point. What Shay said is he's actually grew up hunting. I didn't know anyone who hunted. I grew up in the suburbs, but country boy at heart. Like these are things he's actually passionate about. Again, it's not really at the end of the day about, how much money can I make from making this knife? That's never a word. That's a conversation that doesn't even cross his lips. It is just like, I've been literally dreaming about making this folder. And I'm like, okay, then let's make it happen, So it's just this, like, I've always wanted to have like this really, titanium this and whatever. Like he has these ideas and this passion and will not rest until it comes to fruition. And so, being a hunter, always had a knife, always, to field dress a deer, to whatever. So it's this passion that like you can't
fake it.
Teach. You
and
can't
that's the
fake
thing.
it. Exactly.
When you own a small business, you better like what you're doing because you can't fake it. You can only fake it for so long, and you better really love what you do. And that's something that's really come to fruition with me, myself personally at heart is, you know, I'll finish some of these knives and I will tell you, I will be cussing, I will be legit bleeding. And, you know, I'll get a couple of these things done and look at them and I'll be like, I can't believe I just made that. And I love that. And I love what I do.
So rewarding.
And so that's really, if you don't have that, then I don't think you're going to go anywhere. So like, I'm so excited about 2021 gives me legit the chills, like the stuff that's going into my head as to what we've purchased tons of machinery. We've got, we've got a full service machine shop that we're starting, and it's just, I am a little bit of a workaholic and I won't stop till I figure it out. And so really excited about where this is going. And I don't know, we're just kind of like, though, we throw up our hands and be like, we'll see where this takes us. We don't know.
Yep. And I want to just throw out one quick thing, sort of a counterpoint to Corey earlier mentioned that y'all have on your website, like, don't contact us once you say, yes, I'm going to buy. Don't contact us. We'll tell you when your knife is ready. And the counterpoint of that customer service experience is this. So I purchased a knife from you recently for Corey for Christmas, and I got it. Amazing, beautiful, so amazing. And I opened that knife and I could not figure out how to close it. I couldn't. I couldn't. And I have a knife, but I don't have I do have a Shay Butler knife, but mine's a Ranger, so it's not folding. And I am legit, like, I spent like probably 10 minutes trying to figure it out, and I couldn't. And so I texted Shay and I said, I swear I'm not stupid, but I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do it. And within 3 seconds of me hitting send on that text, he FaceTimed me and he walked me through how to close that knife. He's like, here you go, Julie. This is how you do it. And first off, I was mortified that I couldn't figure it out on my own.
Can I add to that you should be more mortified, just for our listeners, because she owns a knife that has the exact same locking mechanism as this one.
That is true. That is true. Maybe I was drunk, but I don't feel like I was. I just couldn't figure it out. And I think I was just so, like, guys, I know, like, the majority of the people that are listening to this probably don't own a Shay Butler knife. They're works of art. They're amazing. And it's just, so it's not that, you know, that whole, hey, don't contact us, we'll contact you, is not a reflection of bad customer service. It's a reflection of, these are a process and a work of art. And there's so much that goes into creating them that we'll let you know when it's done.
It becomes a function of, I hope it's not people take it as a cold shoulder of our customer service, because Shay and I hope both of our customer service is anything but that. I mean, he is pretty much friends with most of the people now that have bought knives from him, because there's a lot of communication along the way. But it more so saves us from the people that every 3 minutes are like, hey, is my knife done? Is my knife done yet? Is my knife done? Like, these things take like weeks to make. This isn't something we sit here and have an inventory of that we're just shipping out. And a lot of them that have custom features to them, whether it's a custom Cerakote or a custom name, that takes extra time, and it's not productive for us to sit there and be responding to emails, Instagram messages instead of working. Because like I said, this is a 2-person business, and just one other way that our business is very different from other ones. We make the product ourselves. No one else makes it for us. We make it, we ship it, we market it, we pack it, we blah, blah, it's just us. So hence the reason things do take some time, but it is, something we're not ready to totally give up control of our touch on the product. So,
and that's our biggest challenge when you talk about growth and going into 2021. I may have a little bit of perfectionism, and like, I don't like other people to touch my stuff or my work. And so giving up the reins on that is going to be my biggest challenge as it relates to just
how we grow,
how we scale. And so, I don't want to lose, I think I said it 3 times, the authenticity of the product and It's, it's my name that's on it. And how do I, leverage help without losing that special touch? So that's what we really struggle with. And we honestly try to think through. And, with some of these machines that we're purchasing, I'm still going to be able to do it, but it's going to give me additional efficiencies. For example, we have a surface grinder that's being delivered tomorrow, and, that's going to help with some of the finishes versus hand sanding for hours. And so, there's things like that over time we've been able to, we've been fortunate enough to make it money to purchase and grow like that. But that's our biggest struggle, is how do we scale this and still keep the authentic, genuine brand that we've created.
Yeah.
Because people grow, you hear stories about all the time, they grow, they get purchased, and, it kind of just goes down, down the shitter.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the key, right? Is keeping that brand intact. So we have to start wrapping up. But before we go, there's a couple things that, housekeeping. The first one is, how can we help you? Like, what is it that we can do to help you be better with your small business?
Well, I think it's word of mouth and just getting the name out there. I just don't think that if we had a little bit more exposure, I think we're going to be hopefully getting some more exposure with the 307 project and their blades that we're going to be doing for them for 2021. So it's just an exposure thing and having more people. And, I'm not trying to create a brand. I don't know how to say this. It's almost, we're trying to create an empire. Like, we want this 10 years from now to, when you say, it's kind of like, you got an iPhone. Like, I want it to be, hey, do you got a Shay Butler knives? That's what I'm going for. I'm aiming, I guess, shooting for the stars, so to speak, but why not? I mean, if you're really passionate about it, I think that, we'll see what happens. But that's what I want to do, is really try to create brand awareness. And we're having a really hard time to doing that with social media. So, podcasts and start doing other things, I guess, is what we're looking for.
Fantastic. And tell our listeners how they can find you.
You can find us on, www.shaybutlerknives.com for our knife business, and at Shay Butler Knives on Instagram. Then we also have singleacrehatco.com, and also the same handle, Single Acre Hat Co, on Instagram, for our custom leather patch hat business.
Great. Thank you so much, Shay and Kari, for being on our podcast today. It was great having you as guests, and I'm sure that our listeners enjoyed every minute of this conversation. You can find all of the information for how to contact Shay and Kari and their two businesses in the show notes.
And you can connect with us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can reach out to us on our websites, sbpace.com and bizquickpodcast.com.
And while you're out there, go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. Subscribe, like, download, and go ahead and leave us a review.
Yes, and while you're out there, go ahead and let us know if you've got any topics, anything that you want us to cover, or if you want to be a guest on the show. Go on over to bizquickpodcast.com. We got a form out there. You can fill that out. And we've got a book out there that you can purchase. It's called Seriously Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness. It's a #1 bestseller on Amazon, and we've got a digital workbook that you can download from our website.
Yep, digital download and a #1 bestseller. I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And this is BizQuik, helping small businesses across America.